Welcome back to Your Quilting Journey. Today we're going to talk about part 2 of how to work your sewing machine. The pin here goes up and down so that when you're storing it, you can have it in the down position and you'll want to raise it to put your thread on it. So I'm using some blue thread here. I'm going to put it on the stem. And then to thread your machine, we're going to follow the steps. So there's some steps up here on top of the machine. And it says the steps for winding your bobbin and for threading your machine. So the first step for threading your machine is to go through this arm right here. And then you're going to go down this first slit here, which is number 2. So a lot of machines make it simple for you to follow the steps. So number 2, number 3 is going to go under this bar and up here. So you want your needle in the upward position, and you're going to take it all the way up, and inside of there is a take up lever is what it's called. It's a metal piece that has kind of a little hook to it that the thread will go through. So you want to make sure it catches in there and it's going to come straight back down. So that's number 5. So back up again. We've got number 1, number 2, number 3, 4 is your take-up lever, 5 is straight back down. The 6th step is to go behind this bar right here. Can you see this little bar? This little bar right here. So if you saw how I did that, I hold it with my left hand and I guide it with my right hand, kind of like a piece of floss. Double check that the thread up here stays where it's supposed to be. Occasionally I've seen my students where they do this and it pulls out so far that it loops back around here and gets stuck, and then they end up having problems when they start sewing. So double check that everything is threaded correctly before you put it in the needle. Now you can just take the thread and thread it through the needle if you're talented. I did it, amazing. But some machines have a handy little threader, and it takes a little practice to get used to this, but once you get the hang of it, it is so nice. So what I do is I lower it with my middle finger, and you'll see that this little thing comes right through your needle, okay? Your thread is going to go under this little bar here. Hope you can see that. It goes through this bar, and it's going to go right under it. So it goes up and over and through, okay? So it's going to go up on the left side and then under it going the right side. So see how I kind of have to hold it with my left finger to get it under there? See, it takes practice, and doing it from the left instead of straight on is somewhat of a challenge. Okay, so it's under there. I push it all the way down. The thread is in front of the needle, not behind it. And then kind of lift it up, and there's little teeth that will grab the thread. Once you feel it, it kind of holds onto it. Now just gently hold onto it with your right hand and slowly let go with your left hand, and a little loop will form behind your needle. I hold that loop so that this doesn't accidentally pull it back out, and then let this go. Then you can slowly work that loop through, or use some kind of a stylus or something to pull it out. So that's an easy way to get your needle threaded. Now another rule is you want your thread to always go under your foot and back to the left. That will keep it from unthreading when you're changing out your project. Now let's learn how to thread your bobbin. What is a bobbin? The bobbin is the part that goes down here under your machine. There's a little latch right here that you would push over to lift it up for this type of machine. There's other machines where the bobbin is in the front, so you'll just have to work with that. If you have questions, please reach out to me and I'll make a specific video on that kind of a bobbin case. But for the most part, most machines, the newer machines, they're going to have a drop-down bobbin. So you would take out this little guy, and this one's already wound, This is your bobbin case, and you're going to put it in with the thread running counterclockwise. Okay, so it goes right into the slot, and then there is a little arrow here. So the thread goes under the arrow and around to the back, and there's a little blade right here that cuts it in place, and then we would just put that top back on. When you run out of bobbin, you're going to want to cut your top thread off. So you're going to snip it up here, and all this thread is unfortunately garbage. The reason why we want to do that is if you just pull your thread back through the machine, it can pull the springs and things that are inside of your machine the wrong direction, or it can cause lint to build up into your machine, which will cause tension issues in the future. So always snip your threads and pull them out through the bottom. To thread your bobbin, there's little instructions here on the top of which direction it goes. So it's supposed to go underneath the arm again, and then it goes towards the front of this circle and around the back. So it makes this little crisscross. And then it's going to go to your bobbin here, and you're going to wind it just a few times clockwise. Okay? So your bobbin goes on this spool here. It clicks in place, so if you rotate it, let's back up. So this little bobbin is going to go on your bobbin winder, and it will click in place once it's set. Then you'll take your thread, wind it around clockwise, and there's a little razor blade right under there too that this can tuck under. So tuck that under and it will rip off. Okay? Some machines, this bar here will move towards the bobbin winder. In this case, this bobbin is going to go towards it. And you must have that set to wind your bobbin. Now, I turn the speed all the way up so we can get that bobbin filled quickly. And then I'm going to press on my pedal to wind it up. And you'll just keep going until it winds all the way. When it's done, it will stop on its own, or it'll start slowing down and making kind of an sound. See how it's stopping now? It's kind of slowing down its rhythm, so that means it's full. Then you would push it back over. Before you lift it up, you must push it back over, otherwise you can hurt your machine. Then you lift your bobbin out, and then you can use that same blade to cut your bobbin string off of your top string, and then you would load it into your bobbin case. Now this lever right here is what lowers your presser foot onto your fabric. So you need to make sure you lower that before you start sewing. This machine, fortunately, will yell at you if you don't have it lowered. So once you have that lowered, then you can start sewing. To change your needle from your sewing machine, you'll need this little screwdriver or something similar. This one should have come with your machine. And there's a little screw right here that you'll put it in. And remember, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. So if you spin it towards the left, it'll loosen it. And then you can drop your needle out. You do want to change your needle every few projects or so at least. There's not really a set number of stitches, but when your needle becomes dull, the machine has to work harder, and that can put more strain and pressure on your machine, which will wear it out faster. I use a 90-14 top stitch needle. I really like Superior. These are titanium coated needles, and they last a lot longer because they're titanium coated. You'll notice on the needle that there is a flat side and a rounded side. That flat side is going to go towards the back of your machine. So you put it right back into that hole and press it all the way up. There is a little metal piece up here that stops the needle from going too far. So you'll press it all the way up to that metal piece. Let's see if we can get it zoomed in. And then you will tighten the needle down. Just turn it until it's snug. You don't need to turn it so far that you strip the threads in your screw. Okay, let's see if we can get a real good close-up of that needle. Okay, you see that little dot where the needle stopped? So that's a good clue that you have the needle in the right position. I hope this tutorial was helpful for you. Stay tuned for next week when we talk about tension issues and how to clean your sewing machine. See you then!